Ladies and gentlemen, our final match of the day is the men's singles final. Please welcome onto court our officials. Umpire Brian Jackson, assisted by Nico Caltabiano and David Edwards. And now please welcome our players. First into the arena, Sam Walker. Sam is accompanied by Ismail Hafiz, one of our mascots team. And up against Sam is Tom Jarvis. Tom, accompanied by Tom Ennis. It's the men's singles final. Let's get behind the two players.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the final of the men's singles in the Mark Bates Limited National Table Tennis Championships 2022. You're looking on screen at the back of Howard Knott, who has supported 26-year-old Sam Walker since he was just 8 years old. He's still with him now. He's very, very proud of what Sam did in the semi-finals when he beat Andrew Bagley 4-0. And Sam is up against Tom Jarvis. They've just been playing together in the final of the men's doubles, which they've won, but now they're going to go from friends to foes because neither of these players has taken the men's singles championships here at this competition. So there's Tom in the background getting ready, and he's supported by his dad. I'm Colin Wilson, and I'm joined and enjoyed next door with Don Parker. Hi, Don.
Hi, Colin. Yeah, looking forward to this. Sam Walker played very, very well this morning against a difficult opponent, the experienced Andrew Bagley, but as you quite rightly said, he came through by 4-0 and was very impressive. He's been in the final 3 times before as Sam, and he's been in that unenviable runner-up spot, so he'll be hoping he can convert this final to his first national title, but he's up against a very exciting young player. There's Sam, 26 years of age, seeded number 1. He's handled that pressure extremely well. And of course on the other end of the table we have Tom Jarvis, who's seeded number 2. So the 1 and 2 seeds progressing to the final. There he is, right-handed topspin player, very dynamic, good on his feet, strong on both wings, and we're definitely in for an exciting game. I don't know how you think it'll go, Colin.
Well, having seen them both, Tom is very, very powerful, very, very quick, and he's back from a bad hip injury. His body's in great shape. He's been playing so much better since about January. There's Brian, the umpire, assistant umpire here for this final. Thanks, Brian. But yeah, Tom doing really, really well, and certainly had enough in the semi-final to narrowly, but to beat David Macbeth. But I have to say, looking at what Sam did to Andrew Bagley this morning, 4-0 against, I think, what most people thought, I've got to go for Sam Walker.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Mark Bates there, the sponsor of this tournament, the Mark Bates Limited National Table Tennis Championships, and here we are at the end of that event, and it's the men's singles final. Of course, Sam Walker on screen there will have seen Maria Sapsinos just beat Tintin Ho and win all 3 titles. Men's singles, men's doubles, women's singles, women's doubles and mixed. He could do the same if he can win here. So it's a sort of a triple crown at stake for Sam Walker.
And he'll really want this. So for those of you that don't know, Liam Pitchford not appearing in this year's championship. He's in Doha playing World TT and has to do so with the support of Table Tennis England. So he's missing due to an international competition. And Paul Drinkle, who has won this many times, has a injury. So that leaves Sam as number 1 seed, Tom as number 2 seed, and they've duly made it through. Sam beating Andrew Bagley in the semi-final this morning, and Tom with a great match, a very close match against David Macbeth. You see the octagonal shape of bat that Tom's using now, and the traditional round 1 for Sam.
Very strong topspins there from Tom. He knows he has to go for the big shots. He knows he's got to be brave. First player to get in with a strong topspin is the favourite to take the point. And there we saw exactly that from Sam. Long, fast serve. Worth it. You've got to vary the service. Sam very quick on his feet. Round the backhand to play a forehand topspin. And all level after the first 4 points. 2 points apiece.
That's an easy one for Tom. It just popped up, and it wasn't low enough, and it wasn't short enough either. That combination meant that Tom's feet were immediately round to get a big lever onto his forehand. Nothing Sam could do about that after that shot. Side spin, top spin, serve. 3-all. Nothing in it yet. Pete Charters there, England selectors, Kim Mudge, the officials. So they're able to relax and enjoy a little bit now after all their hard work. Thanks to Pete for everything he's done over decades as a supporter of the national scene at Table Tennis England, coached many England international players, especially women.
My first European Youth Championships, I'm taking you back to Barcelona 1978, and the whole ladies team, the girls team, was from his club, Kingfisher.
Was that right?
Karen Witt, Alison
Gordon, Mandy Smith Sainsbury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's produced an amazing number of players on the male side. Of course, the 2 Saeed brothers, Andrew, Matthew.
Yeah, so thanks for everything, Pete. And he's coached my lad as well, teaching him how to chop. So a great legacy from Pete Charters. Side spin, top spin, serve, and that's the speciality. That's the one that Liam Pitchford has made his trademark, but all of the players are now doing really well in England. The backhand down the line with a little bit of extra side spin to cut the ball away from the opponent's forehand. Beautiful execution.
6-3. Good tight service there. The second bounce was on or around the baseline. That's the best place for it to be. The receiver's not sure whether to play over the table, away from the table. And again, Sam Walker in with the first strong topspin. Certainly Sam starting very well. Had some incredible performances, Sam Walker, over the recent years for England in the World Team Championships in Kuala Lumpur a few years ago. Big wins against Japan, against Germany, and then again at the World Team Cup at the Copper Box in London. Played a key role in the 2 bronze medals won at those 2 events. 9-3.
Well, a solid start from Sam. So Tom's been looking good, looking dynamic, looking quick. But if you look at the scoreline, it just goes to show how few balls Sam's missed. And he's been like this all weekend. Look at that again. Turned his shoulders, down the line with the backhand. Brutal attacks. Game point. Best of 7, so first of 4. Yes, and he takes the first game point. So that's 1 game to love. The higher seeded and possibly favourite Sam Walker against younger Tom Jarvis. So Howard's coming in just to keep him calm. A few ideas. No worries from Howard. No worries.
I think he'll be stressing the importance of mental toughness here, because Sam won that very comfortably, but he has to keep the pressure on. We can see there in replays from that first game, Tommy's a strong player. Let him play and he's capable of beating anybody on his day.
They're both players competing in Germany this season. Tom at Oxenhausen and Sam at Cologne, whereas his dad tells me they got the thing they like best is going out to visit him at Christmas and going to the Christmas bazaar there. Certainly they do have that in Cologne.
Jarvis to serve.
So good to see Tom back from injury. Had a similar injury to the England performance coach Gavin Evans had years ago, and Gavin's been a great support to help him work through the rehab.
Interesting there how Sam came across to the forehand side of the table to return with the backhand. It's a technique a lot of the players are using today. During your day, Colin, if you'd have come across to the forehand to return with your backhand, I suspect whoever was coaching you would have told you cut that out.
Well, I bet you told me to do that at some stage, because that was the way it was, and there was a time, I'm very grateful for it, Tom, that you coached me when I was a junior, so thank you. But that's the way it was, yeah, and it was regarded as lazy at one point. But the part of the difference is not just the mentality, it's also the equipment. The equipment's quicker, which means you can do more with the backhand these days. Oh, went down the line, just missed it. Sam pointing at his own head. He knew that was overambitious, I think. This one here, just off the side. Maybe he didn't need to go so wide as that. But that's the threat that you feel when you're playing someone like Tom Jarvis. Tom looked ready to take this championship. He's given half a chance.
3-2.
When this championship was last held in 2020, just before the pandemic struck, Tom went out to Paul Drinkle 4-1, and it was won by Liam Pitchford.
Got it. 3-all.
So Sam has been in the final 3 times and not won, but he's beaten Liam in this competition.
Twice.
More than once, yeah, twice.
Twice in the semi-finals,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Sam's
But
had
he's never beaten Paul.
never won it, and we're going to have a first time. This, neither have won the national championship.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great day for one of these two. Their first national men's singles title.
3-4.
This is the big tournament of the year, the national championships. Everybody vies to be the national champion.
Great backhand-to-backhand exchanges there. And then just off the top of the net, Sam looks disgusted that Tom clipped the top of the net there. Happens not irregularly.
5-3.
Tom holding up well, quick. And he's got the consistency that Sam had. Fantastic rallies at speed, so they're both physically very, very good shape. Nice flick from Tom, but Sam was so quick to, I was going to say to block it, but to block and topspin it back. Tom had a bit of a hard match actually earlier on. First round he got Lorestas Trompauskas from Kent. He's 52 years old. His lad 14 years old is also playing in this competition, so well done to them. And Tom had to really work hard to beat that match. It was a good one to watch. Just goes to show there's a lot of good players out there in English table tennis still. It's nice that they get the chance to play some of the young superstars. See the speed there, the explosive power from Tom. Lovely stuff.
That's a great shot down the line. Sent Sam the wrong way there. Certainly, I'm trying to think what Tom's dad said to him during the interval, and it looks as though he's told him he's got to be little bit braver. He's got to go for his shots. He's got to get in with the first strong ball, and that's what he's done. And the score reflects that. It's 7-4 up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you mentioned the block before, Colin. It's almost like the block has disappeared from the game now. People don't just block the ball back. They actually use their elbow, certainly their wrist, and they don't just use the pace to return the ball. They actually return it with a little bit more added on.
Yeah, they do. Very much so. If they can get any wrist on it at all, they'll give it a bit of extra pace. So Tom's done exceptionally well here. Stood up to Sam. Sam was playing so solidly. Fast serve. Sam goes down the line. Plays a lot into Tom's forehand. Again, just putting his backhand down the line off the end. 9-4 to Tom. Will this go to 1-all?
Tom did well there. He absorbed the pace and the spin, and he just blocked down the line, which makes it a little bit more awkward. And he managed to sneak that point.
Wow, that was quick.
9.
That's nothing like a block, Tom. Beautiful early counter top spin. Sam's in again.
9.
And then before David Macbeth, Tom beat Cheyenne Siraj from Yorkshire. Cheyenne won the under-21s here, so well done to him. But 4 straight. Just goes to show how good these finalists are. Tom beat Cheyenne, under-21 winner, 8-7, 4 and 7. Comprehensive victory there. Wow, that's a fast backhand across from Tom, Sam. Tom blocked it. Didn't have time to do anything more.
9-7.
Spraying the ball around the table there on the diagonal. You see the two extremes there. The backhand on the diagonal, steps round, forehand down the line.
Lovely stuff. So, 2 serves to win this second game, possibly.
The last 5 points, Sam's come very much back into this second game, and indeed, timeout. That doesn't surprise me. Tom will have called that. The momentum, as I just said, over the last 5 points has definitely swung in favour of Sam. Timeout. Tom will be hoping to break that momentum, pause the game, and then come back to the table and try and regain the initiative. The lead now down to 1 point. 10-9, a good timeout, I feel, Colin.
Yeah, maybe. And, you know, if you're as close to Tom as your dad, maybe you're saying something like, you know, you're 8-4, 9-4 up, you know, you're getting caught. You know, maybe something a little mental there, game down, but chance to take the second, not yet taken. And it might be something like, you know, are you mentally ready to beat a Sam Walker and to become the champion of England? You know, it's a massive mental step. To step over that threshold and to make that happen, and you've got to have it in your mind that this is what you are, this is where you belong, and you should be champion.
But this now is a real pivotal moment. If Tom goes down 2-0, then it's going to be incredibly tough, and he may even reflect on the fact that he was leading 8-4. I should have won that second game. So this is a crucial time.
So still serving 9-8 up. Theoretical advantage. He's popped it a bit long. Sam's in. Backhand blocking well. Now Tom's up to the table and Sam's away from the table. And that was an indication that Tom does feel he's ready.
Great rally, and that backhand winner, which we'll just see at the end of this rally. Coming up any time now. Here it comes. Look at that.
Yeah.
Free swinging backhand topspin straight down the line from the forehand side of the table.
2 game points. So there Tom was forced back, but he came back up to the table progressively over a long rally. Well done, Tom. Sam Walker serving 8-10. Needs these 2 to get to deuce. Can't do it. Tom takes it. The timeout certainly worked there. So Tom takes it to 1 game all. Big show and a fist there, and his dad's looking really cool. So, job done. Howard with a bit of a chat. 1 game all. Long way to go. Best of 7. But this was a wonderful finish from Tom after, I think what you said, Dom, was a very smart timeout.
Exactly. I think that timeout was crucial. The momentum had definitely shifted in favour of Sam. I think Sam had won 4 or 5 of the last 6 points. And then Tom very wisely called his timeout. You only get 1 timeout in the whole match, and you need to use it wisely, and that's exactly what Tom did on that occasion. So he can't call a timeout now. There was that free-flowing backhand.
Yeah. Just love the way that Tom turned that rally around. He gave the first attack to Sam with a little bit of a weak push. Had to defend, albeit with topspin, and then just gradually walked forwards and leant over the ball. And that's what he's been working on, is to get more on his toes. So Sam knows he's in a fight. You said quite rightly, I very much believe I'm going to be the best player at the tournament, and I have to show that now. That's what Sam said before the event. And that's exactly where he is. He welcomes the challenge. That's exactly where you want a professional sports person to be. And they relish the challenge. They see it as an opportunity to show what they can do.
1-all.
He certainly handled the pressure really well so far. But the biggest test is now. It's in the final. And look at that, all the ones. 1 game apiece, 1 point apiece.
Fast serve from Tom.
1-2.
Going into the crossovers there, somewhere around the white line in the middle. But it will be more aimed underneath the right shoulder and elbow of Sam rather than at a place on the table. Just off the end on that occasion. See the bat, straight edges at the on the edge of the bat.
3-1.
But Sam's determination.
Good return from Tom there. He just lifted it a little bit more than he has done previously. Came up the back of the ball. A little bit more spin than speed. The variation winning the point.
Similar serve again. Tom having to play a slow side spin topspin return. Both players trying not to be the one to be retrieving. Fighting to be the one that's taking it slightly earlier than the other. See, there's Sam regrouping, bouncing his feet slightly closer to the table. But Tom was strong, kept it strong. 3-all. I'm surprised that sweater's not bigger, Don. Some good knitting there. Oh, that's a great backhand from Sam in all kinds of trouble, wide of his backhand. He did a great shot, but Tom was having none of it. Just played the next one wide of the forehand. What a wonderful rally that was. So he's out of position here, there, and then Tom switched it wide of the forehand. Well done, Tom.
The lady you mentioned knitting, she's been at it all day. It's going to be an interesting jumper at the end of it. There she is. She's just in the background. She's been knitting all day. She is the Tom Daly of the table tennis world.
Indeed. I wonder if she can auction her product.
I suspect the conversation that these two players had with their coaches after the second game, when it was 1-all, would be very similar. It's all about, keeping the serve tight, keeping your opponent guessing, getting in with the first strong topspin and keeping the initiative. And there's the first strong topspin in by Tom, and he wins the point. There's a lot of tactics here around the service and the return of service. And if you do that well, you can create the first opportunity to make the forehand topspin or the backhand topspin, to make the first strong topspin.
6-4.
Sam again going for the killer backhand down the line. I'm sure it would have been. It was powerful enough. Maybe he overdid that one. But not all first topspins are easy topspins, Don. Sometimes you have to spin it up a bit.
Good variation to do that. Good variation, yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes around with this keep your opponent guessing. You spray the ball around the table, you go down the line, you go down the diagonal. As you said, Colin, you can play down the middle underneath the playing arm. Keep your opponent guessing where it's going, and then occasionally vary the speed. The slow spinny ball can be very effective.
Sam, great counter on the backhand there from Sam. Got himself back into a rally that he was really under pressure there. Well done, Sam. Pulls it back to 6-all. So you see he's on the defensive, but that big backhand recovery shot. Well done, Sam. Sam's prowling around a bit like a caged tiger. That focus. But what Sam's doing well is handling the scale of his desire. He wants this so much. He knows it's his big opportunity. He's not won this championships. He's in the final. He's playing someone seated behind him for the first time in a long time, many years. And he's got to handle that pressure, that expectation. And he knows that Tom's come back so well from having a difficult year or 18 months. They're both playing so well. Great rally. So not only 8-6, but also serving for Tom. So a little bit like the last game, a little bit of a lead, serve close to the end.
Great return. The serve drifted long there. It was mid-table. You can't afford to do that. You've got to keep it tight or go for the long, fast serve. And that was somewhere in between the two. And he paid the price. Sam in with a very strong topspin return. Second serve coming up.
Yeah. So poor serve from Tom's point of view, but beautifully dealt with from Sam. See what happens here. Sam straight in with the backhand, running right across to get his backhand in.
Sam now has his two serves to come. Need to get in behind the serve if he can.
Both of these would be nice for Sam. Bring it back to 9-all. Yeah. So side spin, backhand flick, but it just popped up. Just came off his bat a little bit thin. And just made it slow and high. Sam read the spin and swept across it for a winner. Tom goes for the same thing again, but down to the forehand. Both players did well to stay in that rally. Very, very difficult shots to have to return there at speed. Lots of side spin through that rally.
Backhand return of service from the forehand side from Jarvis. Set up the point, and now Jarvis with his two serves to come has 2 game points for a 2-1 lead in the final.
One all, 10-8. Game point to Jarvis. Oh, and he gets lucky. Hit the top of the net and then close to, or if possibly an edge. So that carries the game for Jarvis. Sam will be disappointed that he didn't get the chance to come back at that, but he knows 10-8 down and service against you. You know these things can happen. And now Sam having to do a bit of regrouping. Great backhand there from Sam. So where Sam was pushing himself back towards the table. That was a beautiful first attack from Tom. Lovely stuff. Look at these two going at it. A couple of beautiful early forehands. What we call elbow counters now. You know, don't have time to turn the shoulders completely, Don. Well, Dad's looking more nervous than Tom now. I think you can see a chink in the armour of Sam Walker. Tom's walked through that, giving himself a chance at victory. Hold on, Dad. You can do it, and your son can do it. But hey, Howard and Sam will be coming back fighting hard. It means everything to these players.
Low ball.
Lovely backhand again. Similar to the previous one you talked about, Dom, where the serve was just drifted a bit too long and Sam really blitzed the backhand.
So exactly what he has to do. Be positive when the opportunity arises. Tom has to keep his serves tight.
And he did there.
1-all.
It's almost an art form now, Don, to force the returning player to play a forehand. There he does it. But Tom, very nice short push. Great rally. Top edge.
1.
Top edge of the racket. Takes the ball over the opponent's head. Oh, Sam gets a ball from behind his back and stayed in the rally with it. Didn't win the point in the end, but that's pretty amazing.
Liam Pitchford mastered that technique, hasn't he? Playing behind his back and does it
There
quite
he goes.
successfully. There he goes. Yeah, amazing. Kept himself in the rally.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a winning tactic, but it's good
entertainment.
Good entertainment, and occasionally you'll win a point that you weren't due to, and it might make the difference.
I'd say
now,
that was
I'd
down.
say side,
I
not
would
edge.
say side
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, I don't think that was an edge.
Yeah, and he's given the point to Sam, the umpire.
Yeah, Tom doesn't like it. I'm not surprised.
For me, the test is if the ball hits and it goes,
up.
upwards,
Yeah,
then it's touched the tabletop. If it hits and goes downwards, then it's hit the side, and that ball didn't rise, did it?
I think we had a good angle to see that, and I think that's fair enough that Sam doesn't give it to him. And
it's fair enough that Tom's taken it and no dispute at all.
No.
Clearly a bit disappointed. He lost a point, but no argument with the umpire. It's good to see.
Yeah.
Good sporting behaviour.
Maria's dad, Mr. Sapsinos, Dimitri, who we sat there very satisfied at his daughter's performance today. That's the best I've ever seen Maria play. Beating Tintin for the championship of the women's singles. So well done, Dad. And that's a lovely forehand elbow counter from Tom Jarvis. Earlier in the rally, Sam Walker played his trademark backhand across, but Tom was there with the block. He's expecting it coming now there. And he was able to stay in the rally with it, and then just a bit of follow through with the topspin.
Bit of side spin as well, I think, just took it out a fraction wider. It's interesting just looking in the crowd, some of the keen table tennis fans watching this may think, wow, there's a few superstars from a table tennis point of view in the crowd.
Yeah.
This evening it's a centenary dinner celebrating 100 years, and a lot of people are gathering for the dinner this evening, ex-players. So, you know, John Hilton, I just saw, sat in the crowd, former European champion, and a whole host of other players. So it's not lookalikes, anybody who thinks it is. There's a lot of stars in the crowd.
5-4.
Still not much in it. 5-4.
Black. 5-4.
100 years of organised table tennis. Fast serve, big stamp, takes the point immediately. So Sam's not getting it all his own way. He's got to stay hard, stay tough. Keep the touch and take the opportunities there.
Clever play from Tom there.
Well
Brushed
placed,
up the
wasn't
back of the. Well, it was. I thought it was a variation. He came up the back of the ball, put a lot of topspin, not a lot of speed. Sam slightly hesitated and blocked the ball off the end of the table.
Yeah, just nice change of pace. Well angled into the crossover as well. Just to keep Sam off balance, both forwards and backwards and side to side. And that's a lucky one, But at the same time, Tom is soaking up Sam's attacks much better on the backhand, isn't he?
He's doing it very well, isn't he? He's absorbing the pace, and then when he gets the opportunity to play the counter topspin, he does, and he's doing it well. So
what were, all the way through the championship, big winners from Sam, Sam's finding a coming back consistently.
he did hit the net cord and go
Well, at the
over.
end, yeah, he was lucky.
A little bit of good fortune, but the way Tom's playing at the moment, he's absolutely spot on tactically. Dad's doing a good job in the corner.
9-4.
Absolutely. And it's that relationship and that trust that you need at a time like this.
It's interesting, isn't it? Father, son, father, daughter, whatever it may be. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's a disaster.
Yes.
But clearly, in the case of Tom and his dad, it works really well. Dad stays calm.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Calm and supportive.
Yeah. Well. 10-4. Sam and Howard have got a bit of thinking to do.
Hard to believe after the first game, where Sam was very convincing.
Yeah.
It's been a turnaround after that first game. And
That's a
boy,
great return. That's an absolutely fantastic return. Sam played it so that he wouldn't be able to keep it short, and he took his bat away as he hit the ball and kept it short. So Tom, right on cloud 9 at the moment. He's got his touch as well as his power. He's not missing anything. Sam, look at that, he's looking angry. Got to find a way to turn this around now.
he's got to turn that anger into positive energy that he applies himself.
Yeah.
But I have to say, full marks to Tom. As you said, Colin, he's absorbing the spin and speed from Sam, and then he's able to take. See, there he's just absorbing.
There you go.
And then he's in. You know, a little bit of good fortune on that particular rally with the net cord, but in the women's final, interestingly enough, we had two father
and daughter
combinations.
Yes.
And I suspect doing slightly different roles. One was perhaps more technical, one was more just calming things down and supporting.
Yeah.
So there's not a golden rule as to how to behave as a corner man, if you want to call it a corner man, a coach. It's what works for the player and the coach.
And it's a very different role to coaching in training. To be sat in the corner. It's a completely different skill.
When you're in the training hall, of course, you're looking at technique and improving shots and how to play them. Whereas here, the last thing you want to hear is you're not playing your forehand topspin. We need to change it.
Yes. Got to make the best of what you've got at a time like this.
One love.
Just a case of optimising, and most of that is mental.
So, Sam starting very strong. He's got in with strong topspins early in the rally, dominated those rallies, and he takes a 2-love lead. Tom now with his 2 serves needs to answer back.
Change of serve. Right down the line into the forehand. Force a forehand return. Sam's got the momentum now. He's got a long way to come back, Sam. Needs the next 3 games. That's beautiful play. So Tom not quite able to absorb it. Sam absolutely throwing everything at it. If he sees, like you say, if he sees the opportunity, he's got to really go for it. Tom unable to soak that up. And so the momentum changes again.
I think one of the factors here is just being mentally tough, keeping the pressure on. And Tom, it'll have happened at an unconscious level. He's suddenly 3-1 up. He's thinking things are going well. You take the pressure off unconsciously, just a fraction, and that's all your opponent needs, because then they're the ones who are getting in. Just a 1% drop in performance because of the concentration can change a game. Tom's got to get back into gear and play how he played in games 2, 3 and 4.
Love 7.
And now the ones that were hitting the top of the net and going over are now hitting the top of the net and missing the table. Those tiny, tiny differences, the whole momentum of the match changes. But Tom's still on 3 games with 4 games to win. So he's not far away, Tom, still. That's a beauty.
7-1.
The returner serve, he managed to get the ball up slightly higher, and then great power on the forehand. He's really spinning his body into the ball beautifully now.
8-1.
Both these players, of course, looking forward to the Commonwealth Games in July. Not just table tennis, but all of the sports in Birmingham in July. I've got my tickets, and that'll be a fantastic event. I'll see some athletics as well.
The table tennis is at the NEC. Good venue, easy to get to.
Venue of the World Championships in 1977.
Correct.
Desmond Douglas was our star player at the time, and Jill Hammersley Parker. So it's gone away from Tom a little bit. Just missing. That one was just a half a top edge. Just didn't hit the sweet spot of his bat. Just caught the edge of his bat slightly. Well, there's a long way to go. Tom Jarvis has got 3 of the 4 he needs, but now Sam Walker has 2. 3 games to 2, Jarvis leads. The momentum back with the top seed, Sam Walker. Impossible to call this one, isn't it, Dom?
It's tricky, isn't it? You would normally say I'd rather be 3-2 up having lost the last game 11-3.
I would.
You definitely. But you need to have that mental toughness to forget about 11-3 and refocus and start again.
Yeah.
And if Sam gets off to a good start in this next game, then he's very much back into this final.
So what Tom and his dad need now is a mentally as a route back into it. You know, he's got the games behind him. He's dropped one there, 11 points to 3. And to get that momentum back, you need a route in your mind about how you're going to plot that through, point by point. Of course, it's always changing. It's always evolving. They get used to your game, you get used to their game. The tactics is always evolving from one side to the other, and you're reading that, changing and adapting all the time. But you can sometimes see in your mind, you think, yeah, I've got a way back here, and you've got a couple of ideas about how to go about it. And at the same time, there's got to be so much that's just spontaneous and just creative and in the moment. Let your subconscious do the work and just put the power in. Let's see what comes together for these 2 players now.
Very wristy backhand topspin from Sam there, coming up the back of the ball. Spin rather than speed.
Great rally, backhand to backhand. Both players playing to the middle, but also wide. Both choosing to play backhand and not run around or turn the shoulders and the hips to get the forehand in on that occasion. Same again. And part of the reason the backhand's a little bit more popular is you've taken it in front of your body rather than at the side of your body with the forehand. So it's actually quicker back onto your opponent if you use your backhand. Lovely stuff there. Well done, Sam. He's managed to keep up that winning style from the last game.
Just shows you, doesn't it? 3-1, all going Tom's way. Well, bad start in the fourth game.
Yeah.
And then he's 5-love down in the sixth game.
Second and third games, Tom was absolutely dominant.
1-5.
Is this going to a decider? A new national men's singles champion will be crowned today.
5-2.
So you see there's Sam missed that one altogether, but he's only trying to catch, 1 or 2 millimeters on the very edge of the ball in order to keep the ball in shape and create the massive topspin. So it's very, very easy to miss the ball altogether when you're playing at that level. It's not just a case of putting the wood through the ball, that won't spin it.
Tom now with his 2 serves, 2 big points here. Can he level it up at 5-all, win them both?
Pop that one up a bit high. Sam pounces on that one. So hard, you might have smashed it, but he still chose the topspin. Sam coming a long way around. You can see Tom really pushing the ball across the forehand and then wide of Sam's backhand. Not much in it. Oh, and Tom was just forcing it into the backhand of Sam. So I've got a clear tactic there. Just load it into his backhand all the time.
Just sense Tom's coming back. Just starting to put a bit of rhythm together.
Yeah.
Couple of big points coming up for Sam. Second serve.
Nice return. Came across, played it wide of the forehand. Very difficult to do. Your body's going one way, you've got to send the ball the other way. Let's practice that tens of thousands of times. The belief is there. So Tom Jarvis. You said he could have done with a couple of points at 3-5. Well, he's managed to do it by 6-all, Don, and he's 5 points away from, 4 points away from national men's champion.
And I thought it was coming. Timeout called by Sam.
Yeah.
Of course, Tom's used his timeout, so clearly the momentum in this game has changed. Sam started strong. Tom stuck to the task and has got himself a 1-point lead, leading 7-6, and of course by 3-2. So I think it was a good timeout. We'll see if it has the desired effect for Sam. Sam will be hoping that he just breaks that momentum that Tom's built up. As you say, it was 5-3
down, and you mentioned
5-3.
it. Yeah, he said he could do a 2 on his serve. He didn't get it immediately, but he did come back pretty well.
So he's won 4 of the last 5 points, has Tom. It's clearly the momentum with him, 4 out of 5. Sam's hoping this timeout will just break that momentum and that he can get back into this game. He has to.
Time.
He does indeed. So, Tom Jarvis back into this game, 3-2 up. And Sam was getting on top. Sam was on top in this game as well.
6.
But it's turned around. Tom is 4 points away from national champion and has 2 serves to come. Again, the same thing. Wide of the forehand. Sam choosing to come off cross and play his backhand, having to stretch to do so. And then wide of Sam's backhand. Well played, Tom.
Sam invites that a little bit because he's played the backhand down the line into Tom's backhand, and the natural thing then is to go wide, which he's done. And as you pointed out, he's won both the points recently.
6, 9.
And that was a disappointing point for Sam. By his high standards, he'll be looking to have made that forehand topspin. He's now 3 points adrift. Tom Jarvis 2 points away from the men's singles title.
Big backhand from Sam didn't work. And you can see the body language has changed. He's 4 match points down. Are we going to see a new and younger champion?
So the timeout didn't work for Sam. In fact, Tom has won 3 points on the bounce since the timeout.
Yeah. Match point. And that time, Sam does go across. Tom read it. Sam misses the ball down the line. Sam will be so disappointed, but he can't argue that Tom played a fantastic game of table tennis. He is absolutely delighted. National champion Tom Jarvis of Lincolnshire, back from injury, back from Germany. A shake hands with Howard. A hard luck to Sam. Sam, that'll make him a 4-time runner-up, which is hard to take, but he's won plenty of doubles titles here. So both successful, and there you go. That's what it's all been about. God, it's choking me up just watching it.
Dad's getting a little emotional. He did a super job there.
Congratulations from Howard as well.
Two coaches there congratulating each other. It was an excellent final.
It was a great final. Both players played so well in long periods. And I'm so impressed with Tom to come back after the first game, to get in front, and then to put up with such relentless pressure from Sam. But in the end, Tom's backhand to backhand was stronger, which I wouldn't have expected. The speed's there, the power's there, but also now the consistency when it counted was also there. And that's what carried Tom Jarvis through. Congratulations to him. Wonderful. See their body language, and with Sam, misses it. Nothing he can do about it. What a great game. Sam's been a great competitor. He's a great champion here in the doubles, but today belongs to young 22-year-old Tom Jarvis, English national champion 2022 in the men's singles. Well done, Tom. So, autograph time. Hugs all round. There you go. They all know the sleepless nights, the blood and sweat and airports done, and the money that it takes. And there you go. I don't know who he's on the phone to, but yep, I just won it. What a lovely feeling. You can really enjoy that now. Wonderful. Feel for Sam. Sam, he did so much good work, and Sam was awesome. But he played his best match in the semi.
He did. He was outstanding this morning against Andrew Bagley. Andrew Bagley is a top-class player, and he knocked him out in 4 straight games. But full marks to Tom. There he is. Not sure who he's talking to, as we say. But he deserved the title on his performance there. Sam will be disappointed.
So we'll be getting ready for the presentations in a few minutes for the Mark Bates Limited National Championship. So thank you to Mark Bates, who's managing director of his own company there, and the prize money and all the congratulations will be going that way. So let's go and have a chat between Paul and our new champion, Tom Jarvis.
Tom, an emotional moment for you. Can you put it into words just what this means to you?
I don't know where to start, honestly. I knew it would be a tough day today. I came out, I didn't play my best at times, and I came back after losing the first set in both, but that were alright, wasn't it?
Timeout was a key. What was said?
I just went over to my dad. To be honest, he knows nothing about table tennis. So he just said, "Come on, son, you can do it." So I just went out there and did it.
What do you think this can do for your belief?
You know, I've had a rookie year and a half. It's been tough with the injuries, and yeah, just want to say thanks to Mum, Dad, and the fam, and Gav for sticking by me and believing me when I couldn't do anything. I wouldn't be here without any of you, so thank you.
Well, a truly worthy champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Jarvis.